Hello, Anastasia.
Hello, Natalie.
How are you?
I'm okay.
You okay? I am really, I mean, happy is not the word. I shouldn't say happy, but I am, in a way, I'm happy we're doing this interview because I've been wanting to speak about what's happening in Ukraine for a long time with you, and we've connected, and I'm going to give a little bit of background of who you are and how we know each other. So that everyone who is listening knows what we're going to talk about today. So you are my business manager. We've been working together for more than 4 years. I always say that it was almost like love at first sight, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And since then, it's been a love story, and we've been working really well together until I think, is it 2 weeks ago? Is it only two?
Yeah, it's been 17 days already. 18. 18.
Wow, wow. Until 18 days ago, where boom, you live in Ukraine. I live in Israel, and boom, the war happened, and you just your life has changed, like from one day to the next. And I've been following you by WhatsApp and trying to see, if yeah, it felt like I was, following a movie. It was, I mean, it was really a nightmare more than a movie. And then I said, you know what, you went through so much during this war, and you're going through so much during this war, and so many people don't know about what's happening. We only hear it from the news, and it's, we never know what we hear. And I said that what you're going through is so important to share with the world. So that's why I said we're going to do this interview, and we're just going to check in with you so you can tell us what you're going through. So thank you so much for accepting to doing this.
Yeah, and thank you for having me. That's very important for me as well.
I know. I know. So I want to take you back, and then we'll go to where you are today, of course. But I just want to take you back to when it all started. You have a place near the border, near the eastern border. You have a country house, 60
Yes.
kilometers next to the border, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
something like that. Yes.
you hear things, we heard things, and you hear that the war is happening. Can you take me back to how did you feel when you first heard that there might be a war? Did you believe it in the beginning? Were you ready to leave? Like, can you take us back to how you felt from the beginning?
Yeah, so we heard something like on February 15th or 16th that something might happen, and I also told you that, but we didn't believe, of course. So my father told us like maybe it would be better for us to leave somewhere, like to western part of Ukraine or even to abroad somewhere. And so we didn't want to because first we didn't believe, and second we thought that it's just provocations. So something might happen, but it wouldn't be like so big that we should leave. And also, of course, it's a big stress for everyone to leave. So we decided to stay. So it was February 16th, and nothing really like something happened, but not so much. And then on February 22nd, so Putin said something very weird, very strange, and very awful about Ukraine. This country does not exist, have never existed. It was always part of Russia. So they are playing around, and I don't want them to play around. I want them to be, you know, in my country. And so it was February 22nd, and we started to think that something might happen as well. But then we didn't leave. And so on February 24th, we woke up from the huge explosions at around 5 a.m. We woke up from the explosions. It was really scary. I think I had the first panic attack in my life because I was trembling, like, and the kids were sleeping, and I tried not to wake them up, but me and Dima were like in shock. What's happening? And then this was like the whole. It was Thursday, so all Thursday we were listening to those. We were hearing those loud explosions, and also fighter aircraft that were in the sky. And so this was really a shock, a panic, and we didn't know what to do. But we still didn't want to leave because we still didn't believe that the war will happen like as it is now. So the nights were nightmares because we couldn't sleep at all because they were attacking actually at night, so that people were in more stress, so that nobody could sleep. And so on Friday, we thought that it might be better to leave somewhere, at least not to hear those explosions, because it's awful. Of course, the kids also felt that. For example, I was outside on Friday, I think. I was outside with my elder kid, and he heard those explosions. He immediately started to cry, and he said like something like, "Mom, somebody is knocking," because he's 2 years old. He's 2.5 years old. He didn't understand, of course, what's that sound, really loud sound, and he said that, "Mommy, somebody is knocking very loud," something like that. He said, and he started to cry, and he asked me to go inside to the house. And so the whole Friday we were hesitating, but then we read the news that the Russian tanks were already in the capital of Ukraine, in Kiev, in my native city, and other troops, Russian troops, were very close to our village, and so we decided to leave.
Wow. Well, I'm listening to you. I'm like, wow, this is like, I mean, and I know it's not the end of your journey, of course. And I just want to say that, we didn't say that in the beginning, but you live with your partner and you have two children. One, Stepan is 2.5 and Roman is what, 4 months now? Is it?
Yes, 4 months.
4 months old, right? So it's like two babies. You have two babies in the house, and the house where you lived was 60 kilometers from the border, so very, very
Yeah,
close.
it's hundreds actually, but yeah.
100.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens? Take us back to, okay, you decide to leave. So what do you, I mean, I'm trying to imagine, like, what do you decide to take? Like, how, you don't even know how long you're going for. You don't even know where you're going. You like, how do you, and the kids and the car, and like, what's going on in your head at this time?
Yeah, exactly. So I have this personality that I till the end I deny everything that is bad things. I am a very positive person, so I denied. I'm I think that I'm still denying it in some extension. So yeah, it was hard to pack because, like you said, we didn't know for how long we were going, and so Dima was more prepared for this because, for example, he told me take those spring boots because the spring will come soon. I was like, why do I need spring boots? It's winter now. It's very cold. I don't need spring boots. And he said, like, okay, just take them. We are in the car. We can take them. So yeah, we started to pack. I don't know what we saw, like the things that we were having like at that time that we were wearing at that time, and also like for spring as well. And all the first things that we need, like the diapers, for example. For example, luckily we bought some in advance. So because then in a few days we will have the lack of diapers and it will be an issue. Yeah, so we just packed a lot of things, but
Dima was already seeing that this was going to take longer. He was already seeing that it might take over the winter. Like you might be ready to leave the house for a few months, not just like
exactly, yeah. And I was denying. I was thinking like, okay, we will go for a week and then we will come back. So a week maximum. It's okay. I was really calm. It's fine. I thought we will go on a vacation for a week.
And then you had to take the car, and that I think is already better than a lot of other people, right, who don't have a car. We saw them walking, with the luggage and the suitcase. But you told me that the car wasn't perfect condition also, right? So
yeah, because we had a car accident in back in summer, and so the car wasn't fixed 100%, but at least it was going, so it was fine, and we could take it. Yeah.
You could take the car. So now tell us like what happens when you go out of the village and you start, traveling, start this journey. You're both, with the two little kids in the car. Dima is driving. You have to take care of two babies in the car. But from what you told me, it took hours and hours. There was so much traffic. Can you describe to us what was happening on the roads?
Yeah, so it was a lot of traffic, but it's good that we decided to leave on Friday, because after a few days, there were even more traffic on the roads, because a lot of people are like me, so they were as well denying the situation, and they were staying at home as long as they could. For example, my friends, they stayed for almost how many? 2 weeks almost. They stayed in Kiev, so they were hiding in bomb shelters. And so it's good that we decided to leave, but we didn't know where to go, because of course, we didn't book any place or something, and we even didn't know where we will, like, what's the final place where we are going now, because we didn't know how far we could go because of the traffic. So there were a lot of cars, and also they made civilian people. They made those checkpoints where they checked the passport and everything. So for everyone, for every car and every person who is crossing those checkpoints. So we had those in every village, in every city, like, so that's why it took so long. And we were just driving, and we were like looking at the watch, because we didn't want to sleep in the car. So we just decided that, okay, this is the next big city that we have, and we will stay there. And I started to look for the hotels where we could stay, and all of them were booked. Like, it's a small city. It's a very small city. Nobody goes there actually in normal times. Like, it's a nice city, but it's very small. It has only one museum. It has nice river, but not so many like points of interest. And now, and those and at that time, every hotel was booked, and so even a lot of them didn't answer the phone. And so I was lucky to find one, and we stayed there for 2 days. And then once we were outside, and one woman went to us and said that, do you have a place to stay? I can give you my place for free. So that is how Ukrainians are amazing right now, because they are like one big family, and they are doing good for each other. So
Wow.
then yeah,
She
after
saw you
today,
and she invited you to come. She had an empty place, or was it her
yeah,
house, or what
yes,
was
it was her apartment. So she also left to live with her mother in another apartment in the same city, and this apartment where she stayed with her kid, it was empty. And so she said that, I saw that you have two kids, and that's why I trust you, that you're fine, so you can live at my place. And we stayed there also for I think 3 days. But still, it wasn't quiet there. It was, of course, it was much better than in our village, because we didn't hear explosions, at least, but we heard those fighter aircraft, and also the sirens. They turned on the sirens almost not almost every day and every night. But we didn't go anywhere. We did not go to the bomb shelters, because uh, it was just um, unnecessary for us at that time. I mean, it's more stressful for kids to go to the bomb shelters than to just hear the sirens,
right?
even though they are very loud, and it's also very stressful to hear them all the time. And so that's why we also decided to leave, because of those sirens, and also there started to be a food issue in that city. It was,
Yeah, say when we spoke at the time, you told me that there was no food in the store. That you like estimated that you had food for another week. So what
yeah, yeah,
how
yeah.
come
we
the
took we took some food from our home, and then one day we went to a supermarket, and Dima also said, like, let's buy as much as we can, like as much food as we can. And I said, again, in my denial, I said, no, why do we need those foods? It will be fine. And then, for example, it was Wednesday, and on Thursday we went to the supermarket, and almost all shelves were empty. Like no milk, no bread, no butter, so no eggs. Like almost all shelves were empty, and we had only like luxury products there that people can't afford to buy, so that's why they were still there. And the same situation was with diapers. For example, on Wednesday there were some diapers, and on Thursday there were no diapers in supermarkets, and we started to find them, to look for them, like in every grocery store, in every pharmacy. So we started to look for the diapers. And also that was the reason that we decided to leave that place as well, because we realized that it will be even worse in the next week.
Right, right. So where did you go? So first of all, you stayed in that place for 3 days. This woman gave you the keys and told you could stay in the place, and wasn't afraid that you would steal anything, wasn't afraid that you would, it was that's amazing. And did you give
Yeah, yeah,
the keys? Did you see her before you left? Like how?
yeah, yes. We just gave her the keys back, and then we left. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And so where do you go from there? Like are you still going west all this time? Like
Yes,
you're
yes, yes. We're always yes. We wanted to go to the mountains in the beginning, but it's very far away. So we tried to go like step by step, but the traffic was awful. So the day that we were traveling, we traveled for 8 hours, and we went only for like 150 kilometers
oh
for
wow.
8 hours, because there were like a lot of traffic, a lot of checkpoints, and it was crazy. All the gas stations were without gas and without food.
Wow.
So we were again lucky that we boiled some eggs, and so we were eating those eggs for 3 days in a row because we did not have anything. Like in the car you can't eat some
And
soup
cook.
or soup
Right.
and cook, of course. So we were eating for 3 days. We were eating just eggs and sandwiches that we
And we
made.
have to remember also that you're breastfeeding Stepan, right?
Yeah,
So you're always breastfeeding, and you're still breastfeeding, and you also have to have food for the big one. So you're breastfeeding Roman, you have to feed Stepan. It's like wow. So how is it in the car? Are they sleeping? Are they agitated? Like can you do anything, or how is it?
with Roman it's easier because he's small. He's on my arms actually. So I was for those 8 hours I was sitting, and he was on my arms, the little one. But it's easier with him. But with Stepan, it was, of course, it was a stress because he didn't want to sit all the time. But I was amusing him
Trying to keep
as
him
much
busy.
as, yeah, trying to keep him busy as much as I could. And we went to another city, more west, to Vinica city, and there luckily we had my father's friends apartment. So we stayed at their apartment as well for one night. And then the next day, we traveled to another city near Ternopil. We found as well my father's, it's not friend, but anyway, the person who agreed to have us in his place. So we stayed there for another night, and then the third night it was what was it? So we went to Vinica, then we went to Ternopil, and then we went to it was a small village with a funny name in Ukrainian, but it's okay. So yeah, and there we stayed for another 2 nights, and my parents joined us there, and then we traveled more. So it was like a whole week. We were moving 5 times in a week.
Wow.
We moved 5 times in a week. So every time we had to pack, unpack, to drive, it was.
Yeah. And so just that everyone, feels, that you're safe now. Tell us, before we go on, and I have so many other questions to ask you, but where are you now? So where are you safe now? Did you get to the destination you wanted to be? Just tell us where you are now, so we can breathe.
Yeah. So I'm totally fine now. It's a small heaven here in mountains. It's a small village called Polana, and here there are a lot of hotels. Actually, we were also surprised because we have never been here before. A lot of hotels, everything is booked, of course. So a lot of people, a lot of kids, and a lot of animals because people take their animals with them. And it's a safe place. So my father works at the United Nations organization, and they helped us to find this place. And actually, we just received good news that they might even pay for this hotel that we are staying until the end of March.
Wow.
So until 31st of March, I have a place to stay. We don't have kitchen, so this is a big minus, of course, for us. But nothing compares to what other people are going through and how they suffer now. So I'm really, really lucky to have this place to stay, and I'm safe now.
So you're safe now. So now we went with you through, where you left and the whole journey, and then we traveled with you, and now we know that you're safe. But I want to go back to this whole journey that I know that so many people reached out to you, and I probably know that people that are listening are saying, but why are they staying? Why not, go to Poland, go to Romania, go to other countries? Like, why not? So this is in everyone's mind. And I know I told you also, you just go to Poland, take a plane and come to Israel. And I know other people have invited you, past clients, that have been in contact with you, existing clients, people that you know all over the world have told you, yeah, just get on a plane. So can you take us a little bit through that dilemma? Was that an option for you to leave? Did you want to leave? Why didn't you leave? Like, can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so there was an option almost all the time. Like even when the war did not start at all, my father's friends and my friends from abroad, they wrote us and said that anyway you can come and stay for free. But before war, like I said, we just didn't want to go anywhere. And when the war started, I didn't want to go because Dima would be staying here, so it's not allowed for men to cross the border now. This is the first reason, and the second is that it's always better to stay at your own home country, at least because it's your homeland. It's always easier to take all those events when you're staying in your home country, and it's also like in some extent you're also helping your own country because you're paying to Ukraine citizens. And so and also like I read that nowadays every day around 100,000 of people are crossing the borders. So you can imagine what's the situation there. So it's insane. It's crazy. It's very hard. It's very, very hard. It's much harder than traveling for 3 days in a row in the car. So
We
and then
see
you
that in the news. We see hundreds of thousands of people at the border, and not knowing where to go, and so
Yeah, and all of them women with kids and elderly people, so no men. It's also very hard to do that without men.
so talking about that, I know you told me that you have some friends that did decide to leave with their kids, with leaving the husbands behind, and obviously, I understand, why you wouldn't want to leave Dima behind. I also hear that there is some kind of also that you don't want to leave the country now because it's your home country. You want to stay there, and I totally understand that. But some of your friends decided to do that, to leave, with the kids. Can you tell us what's happening to them? Can you tell us, what is the
Yeah.
condition? Are you in touch?
Uh, so yes, I'm in touch with them. They are my very close friends, and it's psychologically it's very hard to be here in those times when you hear those explosions every time, and when you see like I said, we were really lucky because we just heard explosions and we suffered that for 2 days, 3 days, and then we left. west, and my friends, they were staying near Kiev in Irpin, and Irpin was like bombed like like crazy. So it was very hard psychologically to stay there. They were hiding in the bomb shelters all the time, and they even didn't have a chance to go by car somewhere like we did. So they were carried all the time. They had also small kids who were also 2 years and a half, like Stepan, and it's just a nightmare. So they were lucky to have an opportunity to go from that place, because now European is ruined almost totally. This city, it was bombed, and I don't know how to say it, but it was a panic from that case. It was real a panic. So they should have stayed in the Western Ukraine. They should have calmed their mind and decide what to do next. But they just panicked, and I understand why, because it's a nightmare that they experienced, and so they just decided to go to some country where there is no war.
Yeah.
Yes, and so they left their man in Ukraine, and it's my close friend, her kid, her mom, the sister, mm, her brothers.
Her sister.
Uh,
Her
yes,
sister.
yeah, and their kid as well. So they left to Poland first, and then to Lithuania, where they have place to stay now.
And are those
So
the people that you told me that lost their homes? Did they
we
home?
don't, yeah, not them, but we don't know yet, because their pin was ruined. Like, I don't know.
Do you know other people that had their
I
homes?
know, yes, I know other people who lost their homes in European in Bucha, so it's also near Kiev. Kiev region suffered a lot from those attacks. Yes, so I know people who lost their homes already.
Have no walls, no furniture, no anything that they had in the house is just gone. They just have
Yes,
nowhere to go. Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
But
So
at
those,
least they left the place, so at
yeah,
least
their
they are safe. Their
yeah,
lives, yes.
life. Yeah, for sure. And so those are the people that did decide to leave, but I know that you also have people that couldn't leave and decided to stay in Kiev. You have Dima's family, Dima's parents, Dima's sister. So can you
Yeah.
tell us what's happening with them?
It's always a dilemma to leave as well, because you don't have, like, if you have a place where to stay in Western Ukraine, it's good, but mostly you don't, because it's you live in the eastern part, so in western part you have only like hotels, and so it's hard psychologically, and it's hard in the financial situation as well, to pay something to live somewhere we don't know where. And so my Dima's sister, she also has a small daughter, 2 years old, so they decided to stay because it's less stressful for the kids, even though they're as well hiding in the bomb shelters and hearing those explosions and seeing rockets, and it's the food situation is bad there, but still they decided to stay. And Dima's parents, they are of course not young, and they are also not healthy, so they just can't travel that far like we did. It's hard for them, and they are even not hiding in bomb shelters because they can't. It's not in their building. They have to go outside, and they're just they're just hoping that the bomb won't come to their house, but we don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many situations and decisions that people have to make, like those dilemmas: staying, leaving, going to the bomb shelter, the trauma of the bomb shelter, the trauma of the bomb, the trauma of leaving, the trauma of staying. I mean, from what you're describing, it's like it's like unbelievable that people have to make those decisions. It's crazy. It's just, I'm hearing you and I'm like, wow, everyone is must be really like, it doesn't matter what choice you make, you always, you always feel like this is it's going to be some kind of trauma at some point. So
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
and so now you're safe. Of course, you have those people around you that are still, trying to find a solution. But do you know? And I'm not asking you from a news coverage, because we could all, watch TV and see what the news are saying. But from your perspective, do you know what's happening? What are people saying in the street? I mean, I know you told me that some civilians are helping the army. What's happening? Like, what do you hear? I'm sure that you have a lot of contacts with your friends, your family. Like, what are people saying? How long is this going to continue? I know you told me that you even heard that Russians bombed hospitals and maternity places with women that were giving birth. Can you
Yeah.
tell us, what are you hearing from where you are? What are you hearing from what's happening?
Uh, like we read news every hour, and every hour there is something, some nightmare happening. So like, yes, like 2 days ago they bombed the maternity hospital. They are bombing the kindergarten. So around 80 kids already died, and that's not the final number, of course, because there are cities that even the medical staff can't come to the city because it's under attack almost all the time. For example, Mariupol, so they just can't come and save lives because they are shooting even the medical stuff, even the humanitarian stuff that's coming to the cities. Like those, they are not people; they are animals, and it's, we can't say that it's only Putin who is, who is an evil. All those people are evil because they know what they are doing. They know that they know what that they are killing civilians. Um, it's just unbelievable because it's 21st century, and you still, yes, you're still doing it for what? I don't know, like for money or like what?
What's the
I don't
goal?
know what's happening in their minds. Yes, and what's the goal? And so, but still, like Ukraine is 29 times smaller than Russia, and we are still standing so strong that the whole world is like in shock because everyone, like U.S. president, couldn't believe that we will stand for so long. So, and Putin as well, he said like, okay, I will take Ukraine in 2-3 days. So just please, soldiers, go there, and we will have fun in 2 days. We will have Ukraine. Like we did with Crimea, for example. When they back in 2014 when they annexed Crimean peninsula, so it was kind of easy for them, and so they thought that it will be the same for Ukraine. But still, it's already 18 days that we are standing strong, and everyone gathered around this situation. So we're like one big family who is protecting themselves from one big evil. And yeah, the civilians go to army, civilians become volunteers. So it's like almost every person is doing something to help each other. It's amazing how the world gathers together to help Ukraine. So we have so many funds, charity funds who help Ukraine now, and it's amazing how war made us even stronger than we were before. So now we know for sure that we're not part of Russia. We don't have anything in common with them. We're not brothers like they always were telling to us, and we have so many tendencies, like great tendencies in Ukraine. For example, a lot of people are going from Russian to Ukrainian language, even though they have been speaking Russian for all the time, for all their lives. But now they're changing to Ukrainian language because we have to at least in our mindset, we have to switch it like once and for all, that we are a separate nation. We have our separate culture, our separate language, and we are separate. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling you how this, since the war started, I started, looking more into the history of Ukraine that I didn't know. I'm ashamed to say I really didn't know, and I didn't really look more into it. But now that I did, go and looked at, what was the history since Ukraine started to become independent. And last time we spoke, you gave me all those dates, those milestones where things happen, and how the Ukrainian people started after the World War II already to separate themselves from Russia. And of course, now we see that it's probably the last, it's the last milestone for this relationship, of course. But can you take us back to? I mean, I know you were a little girl at the time, and it started even before you were born. But I know that you were also activist, that you also participated, and you saw this throughout your life. Can you tell us how for you it was since you were a little girl, and what events did you witness for of Ukraine trying to be independent, fighting for their freedom, fighting for their own people and identity. Can you take us back on that journey?
Yeah, so actually, I was born even before Ukraine got its independence. So I was born still in the Soviet Union. It was 1989, and so Ukraine gained its independence in 1991. And since then, it was always a struggle to separate ourselves from Russia, and we were going step by step. Yes, now it's the last line. And so after the independence, it was 1991 and till 2000 and uh,
2004, I think you told me. But
yes, yeah, 2004, when the pro-Russian candidate wins the election. The Russian candidate Yanukovych, he wins the elections, but it was rigged. And so the Orange Revolution started, and the protests were successful, and the elections were overturned.
and how
And
were you when this happened?
yeah, so I was in 2004. I was 14, 13 or 14, and
You
so
remember?
yeah, and yeah, my parents participated. I remember that we were going to the streets every day, and we were wearing orange clothes because it was a symbol of another candidate that we were hoping that he will win. He was the Democratic candidate, and so we were wearing orange, and it was fun for me because I was with my parents. I saw all that movement, and it was fun, kind of fun, and so the protests were successful, so it was great. And then since then, Russia got, of course, angry because it did not turn like they wanted to, and so there was a lot of economic struggle. They turned off gas, so there was a gas situation in Ukraine, and then it was a huge struggle since 2004 and then till 2010 when Yanukovych returned. And so this time the elections were, there were no protests. There were protests, but not so big as the Orange Revolution because people were already tired from those struggles that we had. And so he won, and he promised people that he will sign the European Union agreement, but he did not. So in 2013, in November 2013, it was a point where he should have signed this European Union agreement, but instead he turned back to Russia, and he decided to sign another agreement with Russia. And so, like Ukrainian people, they wanted to go west, but he wanted to go east, and it's like it's going back like for centuries, going back. And that's when the Maidan started. I think you saw the
Yes.
documentary. Yeah, it's amazing. I also was there in Maidan, so it started as well. It started very as a peaceful revolution. So people were like singing. They were very happy that they united, and so they just wanted the president to sign the European Union agreement. But then one night, government just started to, because we had pro-Russian government at that time, they just started to shoot people, peaceful people without who didn't have any guns, who didn't have anything. They just started to shoot them, and around 100 young boys and men, they died. Um, it was it was in the center of Kiev, so it was also like strange how we can have war in the city of the in the center of the city, but then, for example, in my region in Kiev, there was nothing. So I went to sleep to my home, but then during the day I was going to Maidan, and it was as well. It was a big family. A lot of people from other regions of Ukraine. They came to help this protest, and it was for 3 months. When Maidan said that we want Yanukovych to go away, and he went away. He flew to Russia, of course, and the Ukrainian parliament they voted to have to make him go away from the government. And so right after that, Russia, of course, they did not accept this. They said that those votes, they were illegal, and they right away they moved their troops to Crimean Peninsula, and they annexed it. And then after that, they had kind of referendum in Crimea Peninsula that that decided that Crimea will go to Russia. And so actually it still remains the only time since World War II that another country used military forces to seize the territory of another country.
Right.
Until now, yes, until now, yeah. And so since then, since the Crimean annexation, they started to bring more troops to the eastern part of Ukraine. They made some provocations, and the separatist movement to Donbas region, so Donetsk and Lugansk region, they became kind of independent republics under Russia. And so up until 2022 and up until this year, they say that around more than 14,000 deaths were caused from that war in the eastern part of Ukraine, and also quarter of those deaths are civilian people, and almost 2 million people had to leave their houses, had to internally relocate or to move somewhere from those eastern parts of Ukraine. So yes, actually it started back in 2014, and now.
Can you tell us, because I mean, of course, since 1991, you said there was independence on paper, but it never really happened, probably until now. I mean, we don't know, what's going to happen now, but can you tell us more about the differences of culture, of identity, of mindset? Because, I know you said Ukraine wanted to go west and Russia, wants to stay east. But can you tell us more? Because I know I don't know enough about this, and I'm sure a lot of people that are listening don't know enough. What does it mean, a West mentality? What does it mean, an Eastern mentality? Can you tell us more how the culture and the identities are different between Ukraine and Russia?
Um,
From your perspective, of course, from what you feel, from what you've been, from what you've been seeing, and from what you can tell.
yeah, from what I can tell, the main thing is, I think, freedom of the vote, of your voice. Like, you can say anything you want, and you won't be sent to prison. For example, in Russia, you can't even write in on Facebook, the post on Facebook, because you will be sentenced to prison. And it's freedom mindset. So you can be anybody you want to. You can travel. You can be, you can live in any country you want, but still you're staying Ukrainian. And also, it's a different culture. I mean, we have our own songs, Ukrainian songs. We have our own dress. We have our own anthem. So even cuisine, we have, borscht that everyone knows it's
Yeah,
Ukrainian.
yeah.
So,
I mean, we say that Russia started the whole Russia civilization. Russians started in Ukraine, right? Well,
but that's not true. Yeah,
it's
but
not.
that's not true, because the Kievan Rus was the first. It was in 9th century. It was established in 9th century, and then Moscow started only in 1100 something. So it was after the Kievan Rus
It was after.
began. So, like you see, Russians, they have a lot of propaganda. They have strong propaganda, and we don't want this. I mean,
Yeah,
we don't want somebody above in the government telling us what to do and what to say and how to live. We want our own choices. We want to become, uh, separate nation.
I mean, I can tell how this is so alive inside of you, right? It's not just this is your country, this is your home, this is what you believe in. You've been brought up like this with your parents fighting for this, and now you also staying in Ukraine and being proud. I can see how you're so proud of this of your country, of your people, and I'm sure that there are so many others like you, because this war is just united all the Ukrainians together. Is that
Yeah,
real? Yeah.
yeah. I feel that very much. Yeah, Ukrainians are just so brave nation and so courageous, and it's just amazing how people unite together now. That's what I love in Ukrainians, and also even in those times we have this sense of humor. So every day I have some memes, on the internet on this situation. So a lot
Really?
of them. So
Wow.
Ukrainians just keep laughing and keep fighting and keep laughing, and that's so amazing.
Wow. That's really impressive. Really, really
Yeah,
impressive.
and we still believe that we will win. Like, even though Russia is like almost 30 times bigger, but we still believe that we will win, because good always wins bad.
I
like
agree.
yeah, like in the fairy tales, but
Yeah.
still.
Not only fairy tale, I think light over dark, right? Light over
Yes,
dark. That's what happens.
exactly. Yeah.
So I know that a lot of people, in our circles ask, how can we help Anastasia? How can we, even people wanted to send money, but people wanted to, I know people have been booking Airbnbs, people have been doing so many, because, everyone wants to help and everyone is a little frustrated not knowing how to help. And I know that you have links to organizations to support the army, to support humanitarians initiatives. I know that you have all those links, and I
Yeah.
think it would be great if you could put those links, below the interview. We'll put them also. You'll send it to us, or you'll put them. and so that people know how they can help, because everyone is watching, from far, and cannot do anything. I mean, it's also we want to help. So I think it's really important to know that there are places where people can, help, can send money, can support, whether you want to support the army or you want to support a non-profit humanitarian cause. I'm sure that there are a lot of places that we can support now.
Yeah, I will
So
attach those links. Yes, thank you so much for all that help that I read on the comments. That's so great that even people that I don't know, they offer me place to stay, even they don't know me, and yeah, that's amazing. That's why we will stand. That's why we're still standing, because the whole world is with us.
yes, yes, yes. Everyone is seeing. It makes so much sense. The your fight is so clear and so noble, right? So it really makes sense. Wow, thank you so much, Anastasia. This has been fascinating for me, and I'm sure that a lot of people will learn a lot from what's happening, not only from the news and the propaganda, but from someone who is actually there and going through it and can really give us a firsthand, experience of what you're going through. And I really hope, I'm happy that you can stay there until the end of March, of course. But I really hope that you're going to be able to go back to your home, to your village,
Yeah, me
and
too.
you're going to go back to your normal life, raising your two beautiful kids, and having normal problems and normal life. That's what I wish for you, and
Thank
I'm sure
you.
everyone is wishing that as well, and you and everyone else, everyone else. I mean, it's such so heartbreaking, that people had to leave their house, and that some of them even have lost their house. It's unbelievable. So yeah, that's what we can pray for. And thank you for sharing with
Thank
us.
you. Thank you for having me. Yes, that was really important for me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes, your story is important. Some people even said that for them, you are the face of this war, So Anastasia is the face of this war for a lot of people now. And we're so grateful that we can have this exchange and understand more, what you went through and what you're still going through. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you as well.
Bye.
Bye bye.